All right, welcome everyone to the North Wasco County School District 21 regular school board meeting. Today's Thursday, March 17th, 2022. Happy St. Patty's Day, everyone. And to start off our meeting, we'll call this meeting to order, and then we'll start off as we normally do with our Pledge of Allegiance. So please stand and join me in saying Pledge of Allegiance. Directors, please unmute yourselves so we can all say it together. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, everyone. Next is just a review and revision of the agenda. And today I do have one item to revise. So directors under item 5, our student and staff recognition. We will not be having our winter sports recognition tonight. That'll be moved to our April meeting. So just wanted to highlight that, and we'll hear that presentation in April. And that's all the revisions I have. Anyone else have a revision to the agenda? If not, we'll move forward with just that minor revision, moving our winter sports recognition to April. Next is the reading of the district mission and vision statement. And Director Richardson, could you read those tonight for us, please?
Yes, certainly. Our mission statement is graduating all students to be college and career ready, challenging, inspiring, and empowering them to be healthy and productive citizens. And our vision is North Wasco is a premier school district. We provide students a rigorous and relevant education with schools performing academically in the top 5% of the nation. Our students are inspired by a talented, innovative, and highly effective staff that values continuous professional growth. Our district graduates citizens who are ethical and motivated to achieve their limitless potential. North Wasco is fully embraced by the community, reflecting its health and well-being.
All right, thank you, Director Richardson. Next on the agenda is our student and staff recognition, and tonight we will be recognizing our district facilities and maintenance staff. So, Dr. Bernal.
Yeah, and I will, hopefully Doug, our Director of Maintenance and Facilities, can be let in, and he is going to do our recognition tonight of our awesome maintenance crew.
I'm in. Can you all hear me okay?
You sure can, Doug.
Beautiful. Thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate it. What I'd like to do is just run down the list you're looking at. I'll start out with saying that there are 2 folks missing from this photograph, 3 folks missing from this photograph. One is William Harrington, who is out on medical leave. The other is Errol Gooch, who is setting up for a baseball game at this time. And then we had our district courier also not in this photograph, but there are the smiling faces of most of our team. But I just want to go over a couple of things on each man, and then a simple statement after I finish that, if you don't mind. Again, thank you for giving this opportunity. Joel Chase is at the top of the list. Joel's been with us 17 years in the district, both as custodian and now a maintenance technician. Joel is most proud of his ability to keep the schools safe for our students and faculty. Joel is also the keeper of the history of our facilities department, and he's a wealth of information for us. Most of you know Claire Cummings. She's been with the district for 8 years. Claire's most proud of being a teammate to all of us. Claire keeps us organized and efficient. Without her, we could not do what we do. She's fantastic. Paul Delaney has been with the district for 8 years. Paul started as a substitute custodian and then moved on up to the rover position. Paul's most proud of his ability to bring levity and support to his teammates. He excels at maintaining the ever complex and ever changing school supplies that we provide at all the school sites. Does a hell of a job. Dan Ezeel, he's been with the district for 14 years as a maintenance technician. Dan's most proud of his efforts to bring back the luster and bring back the quality that once prevailed. It's a constant bar that keeps raising, and we're all trying to do that, but Dan excels at that. Dan is also our in-house MacGyver. He's the one that just gets it done with bubble gum and a Q-tip sometimes, but he gets it done in any way possible. Gabe Gonzalez, been with us for 5 years. Gabe's been a substitute custodian before transferring into the grounds department. Just a wonderful gentleman to be around. He's just far right on the screen. You just vision him laughing his brains out. So he's just a really great guy and does a wonderful job. He's very proud of the beauty that he brings to the schools. Errol Gooch, 3 years in the district. He's our athletics grounds individual. If you've ever been to any field sports or D21 events, it is Errol who sets those up. He's striping, he's doing all of the things behind the scenes so that we can put our ball teams out there on the field. Does one heck of a good job. He's a tireless worker, and he's our go-to guy for anything athletics setup. William Harrington, he's 15 years in the district as the #1 lead custodian or lead technician. William's most proud of keeping the plants running, keeping the old girl alive and heart beating. He has challenges on a regular basis. Without William and his determination, we'd all be teaching in the dark and in very cold classrooms. So we tap him on the shoulder all the time. Miguel Moreno, he's been in the district 15 years now. He's the plumber du jour. He keeps water flowing, hopefully in the right locations, but he does a hell of a job. He's most proud of doing his part for student safety. He does a really great job, and he's very, very attentive to his surroundings and allows site security to prevail. He does a really wonderful job. Enrique Reyna, he's in his first year with our district and has already paid great dividend. He has an eye for turf maintenance and turf quality. I look forward to his career here at Wasco, hopefully on a new riding mower, which you guys will be talking about later today. Knock on wood. He's relatively new, but has great ideas. He will be a real asset to us going forward. John Riplinger. Some of you know John. He's been here 23 years in the district, beginning as a custodian at Wetonka, moving up to the locksmith role that he plays now. He's most proud of the physical security he provides and the blizzard that is key control in our district. John's our man. I lean on him pretty heavily. He does a really wonderful job. And as our most senior facility worker, he has a lot of history and a lot of background in how things have done in the past, how things were done in the past, and how we keep the bar as high as possible for physical security. Lastly, Larry Wingo, also not in the photograph, 2 years with the district as a courier and a groundsman. Larry was tapped to be a grounds person, but we didn't have a courier. So Larry remains in the courier role until we're able to hire another person. Larry plays a key role in our backpack food distribution for our families in the community. He plays a huge role in that and making sure that our families have the food that they need through that program. Does a wonderful job in supporting our nutrition department as well. Lastly, I'd like to end with this, and I want to say thank you again for highlighting in such a public way the facilities department. I like to say oftentimes the facilities department really stays below the radar until we fail to do our job. And then we pop up over the radar, and that's not where we want to be. So we tread pretty heavily under the surface of the water. So you guys you guys can do what you do, more importantly. It's been my great fortune to be part of this facilities team. We're a small team of overachievers. These guys really hit it hard every single day. It amazes me the large variety of projects they take on and complete on an everyday basis. The facilities team is consistently required to shuffle their normal activities to fulfill and backfill positions around the district, from substitute custodians one day to snowplow operators, sometimes in the same day. And sometimes it will continue for weeks at a time. We very rarely spend more than a couple of days in our original roles within the department. We are always trying to backfill where we can. Again, once again, thanks very much for this opportunity. And we look forward to supporting each and every one of you guys going forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doug. And I just want to give you a shout out as our Director of Maintenance and Facilities. You came in to us kind of right as we were getting the school year started, and you've acclimated really well and have been a great team player with all of us, and have some big tasks ahead of us in terms of facilities and maintenance upkeep. So I really appreciate all your hard work, and I also appreciate each of your team members' hard work. We also want to thank, we do have a certificate for everyone, and we also want to thank Sodexo, who sponsored us this time in getting some gift cards for everybody. So after spring break, when you have your next maintenance facilities meeting, we're going to come by and present those to all of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for all your hard work.
It's been our pleasure, my personal pleasure.
And I'll add on to Mr. Rice that, I get an opportunity to work with different maintenance teams and stuff at various districts. And the one thing that in my mind sets ours apart from others is that the ability to do so many things in-house is unparalleled. When I interact with folks that are in your capacity elsewhere, a lot of times your role is simply vendor management, right? You're having to farm it all out. You're having to get either contractors, others. And I see us being able to do that with the wonderful staff that you just kind of rattled off and went through their different skill sets. And to me, that's a huge asset to our community that, isn't typical from what I've seen. So kudos to just being able to kind of foster that type of environment to really allow those people to kind of use their skill sets for our maintenance needs. So I can't thank them enough, because everything looks great all the time with what we have to work with. So many thanks. And any other directors want to add any comments or add? See, Director Richardson, and then I saw you, Director Rasmussen.
I just want to express my appreciation and inside knowledge that when the students see members of your team, they're part of the community and they're so supportive and they recognize the students. And it's not, they're not in the background, around and not seen. They call students by name. And I think that's just a really special part of our district.
Yes, they feel really, really part of, no question about it. They really do. Thank you.
Dr. Rasmussen.
Yes, Mr. Rice, thank you for your report. And again, it's not the most glamorous job, I understand that, but because everybody is so dedicated at the work that they do, it really makes everybody else shine and their ability to do their job. So, you're the glue that holds everything together, both literally and figuratively. So thank you very much to you and your team. You're doing a great job. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Did you have something, Director Jones, as well?
Yeah, I just want to say big kudos. I've worked with a couple of the guys out there, and just the passion they have is unreal. They don't care what it takes. They get it done and no complaints. They just love what they're doing. And it shows. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Dr. Nelson?
Yeah, I'll chime in. This is kind of a quirky district in terms of our facilities, and it takes your skill set to attend to all the surprises daily that happen that you weren't expecting to happen in the morning when you wake up. I remember in the past, this is before your time, but this is a good example, and I'm sure we still have these things happen, where at Dry Hollow, the whole electric system went out. I also did that on a panel, and we couldn't find the parts. And so we found them on eBay and made do. And I think that patch is still holding. So that's an example of what can happen in a day in our district.
Yeah, absolutely. And I liken it to herding cats every once in a while. Very difficult to get them all going in the right direction, but we keep going, kicking and screaming. It's like a herd of cats. Thank you again, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much. Right. Next is our student representative reports, starting off with the Dallas High School and Sophie Lewis.
Hello, I'm Sophie from the Dallas High School. So we just started trimester 3 this week. The ASP has been really busy as far as planning for the next whole year. We are going to have a service week and Olympic week, which everyone is looking forward to because dodgeball got canceled and that was really sad, but we're bringing it back. We have a sports winter trip, and the new elections for next year are going to be happening soon. So that's being planned. The leadership intro class has taken on motivational Mondays and fun Fridays, which we have done throughout the year, but that has been taken over by them. And the 8th graders from the surrounding middle schools will be seeing some of us soon when it gets closer to forecasting for them to talk about acclimating to the high school environment. And we're planning for a traditional prom. And we just talked to some of the 7th graders today at the middle school, kind of during their pride, and we're just answering some of their questions. We had our masks off. Now, about a quarter of the students still wear them. Our attendance is at 20 or 29. Oh my gosh, 92%. There is going to be a play in April. The robotics is going to nationals at the end of the month, and the band left yesterday for a competition. Spring sports has started. There's a lot going on. Pretty soon there is spring break, and then state testing begins right after spring break. So people are getting back their lives. That's it. Thank you.
Awesome. So many things. Thanks, Sophie. Next, we'll hear from the Dallas Middle School and Nolani Eggers.
Seeing Nolani, but I'm inviting Sandra in.
Okay.
Hey, Sandra, have we got Nolani by any chance?
I had emailed her today. She was looking. Let's see.
Okay. If she's not in yet, maybe we'll jump over to our elementary reports and then we can circle back. So with that, we'll quickly go to Chenoweth Elementary, and we'll see a video from Cesar Alvarez and Hannah Pewitt.
Buenas tardes. My name is Hannah Pewitt. Y mi nombre es Cesar Álvarez Saldaña. We're excited to tell you what's happening at Chenoweth Elementary this month. Estamos emocionados de compartir lo que está sucediendo en la escuela primera de Chenoweth. este mes. Our theme this month is integrity. We are practicing doing the right thing even when no one is watching. Nuestro tema de este mes es integridad. Estamos practicando, hacemos cosas correctas cuando nadie está mirando. In kindergarten, students celebrated the 100th day of school. En el kinder, los estudiantes celebraron el día 100 de la escuela. In first grade, students learned about animals and wrote reports. En primer grado, los estudiantes están aprendiendo sobre los animales y escribieron reportes. In second grade, students are learning and writing about social and emotional learning skills such as naming their emotions, making friends, and solving problems with peers. En segundo grado, los estudiantes están aprendiendo y escribiendo sobre habilidades sociales y emocionales. Nombra emociones, hacer amigos y resolver problemas con sus compañeros. In third grade, students are learning about and writing poetry. En tercer grado, los estudiantes están aprendiendo y escriben poesía. Fourth grade, Oregon State University Extensions is teaching students how apple trees came to this area. Las extensiones de la Universidad de Oregon están enseñando a los estudiantes cómo llegaron los árboles de manzanas en esta área. In fifth grade, we are writing and presenting reports about famous people like Dr. Seuss, Albert Einstein, and others. We also made busts of their upper bodies and heads. En quinto grado estamos escribiendo y presentando reportes sobre personas famosas como Dr. Seuss, Albert Einstein y otros. También hicimos bustos de sus cuerpos arriba y cabeza. We also celebrated Read Across America this week. We had fun dressing up and celebrating reading. También celebramos la semana de lectura a través de América. Nos divertimos y celebramos la lectura. Last week we were able to go anywhere on the playground again. It's so fun and again to play with other friends. La semana pasada pudimos volver a ir cualquier parte del patio de recreo. Es muy divertido volver a jugar con otros amigos. This week we can take our masks off if we want. Some students still want to wear theirs and others do not. We respect everyone's decisions and opinion at our school. Esta semana podemos quitar las mascarillas. Si queremos, algunos estudiantes todavía quieren usarlo, suyo y otros. No respetamos la decisión y la opinión de todos de nuestra escuela. Thank you for your time. That's all this month from Channel A. Gracias por tu tiempo. Esto es todo del mes de Channel A.
All right, thank you, Cesar and Hannah. Next, we'll have another video from Dry Hollow Elementary, and we'll hear from Eleanor Young.
My name is Eleanor Young, and I'm a fifth grader in Mr. Kaiser's class at Dry Hollow. Many things have happened at Dry Hollow since I last gave a report. The Dry Hollow community raised $1,379.38 for the Children's Cancer Fund last month. That's the most that they've ever raised, and considering the times we live in, that is very generous. One student even donated $100 of his own money because he knew a child that died of cancer. That's pretty cool that he'd do that. With several students having their masks off now, we are discovering new people at school we never knew existed before. It's great seeing smiles. We also had our Spirit Week during the Read Across America celebrating Dr. Seuss's birthday. It was a big success. Many students and staff took part in each day's activities. Each day was incredible. We just finished taking our STAR reading and math tests. We are glad that's over for another term. Students at Dry Hollow participate in the Accelerated Reading program each trimester. There are prizes to earn for all the reading you do. One student at Dry Hollow, Fiona, in Mr. Mitchell's class, has earned over 600 points this term. No one that we ever known in the history of this program has earned that many points. That's why we wanted to mention her. She's a real reading machine. That's a metaphor, by the way. Students and staff celebrated Classified Employees Week with cards and treats for them. All these people work extremely hard for us. You might consider giving them a raise. Besides that, we are all saddened to hear that our principal, Mrs. Peters, is retiring at the end of this year. We believe that she is the person who put the PAL in principal. We will miss her, but she has guaranteed us that she will work hard in a new search for a principal. That's what's happening up on our hill. We all hope each of you have a great spring break. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Eleanor. Next, we're going to hear from Colonel Wright Elementary, and that's also a video. And we'll see Chrissy Granados, Rylan Rada, and Kenny Strunk.
My name is Ryan. I would like to tell you about some of the activities the Kindness Club is undertaking. First, this month we are taking a march around the school to spread the word about kindness. We are working on posters right now for this, and soon we will be making more posters to hang up around the school. We are also going to coordinate a great appropriate PowerPoint presentation to share with the classes of Colonel Wright. Another promotion we are going to do is to reward acts of kindness that we observe around the school. We are still a work in progress, but we are so excited to help others in responsible decision making.
Hello, my name is Kenny, and I am here to talk about a great idea that we have started here at Colonel Wright Elementary School. Every Thursday, the 5th grade students can gather in Miss Geary's classroom during second recess to talk about how to promote kindness around the school. We are calling our club the Kindness Club, and anyone who wants to can join. The students can come and go as they please, so we can also practice our kindness during recess.
My name is Chrissy. I would like to share with you a little about what our Kindness Club is about. Kindness Club is about promoting kindness and caring, treating others equally, and understanding and empathy towards others. To help with this, teachers around the school are teaching a new curriculum called Frenzy. Frenzy teaches and supports ideas or units to better understand our feelings and how to communicate and work cooperatively while building healthy relationships.
All right. Thank you, Chrissy, Rylan, and Kenny. And Miss Harris, were we able to get Nolani connected or?
No, I haven't heard from her. I did email and so she's not here.
No worries. So with that, that concludes our student representative reports tonight. Our next item on the agenda is comments from the audience about non-agenda items or our public comment period. And for tonight's meeting, we did not receive any comments. So I don't have any for tonight. Next on the agenda is our consent agenda, which includes the school board meeting minutes from February 24th, 2022, and also an updated personnel report. Any questions or comments from the board on that? If not, then I will entertain a motion. Director Nelson? You're still muted.
Thank you for that.
There you go.
I move to approve accept the consent agenda as presented.
All right, do I have a second? Director Jones. All right, so got a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented by Director Nelson, seconded by Director Jones. Any further discussion? If not, then we'll move to a vote. And we'll do again a roll call vote. Director Richardson,
Aye.
Director Stevens, I think that was an aye. Yeah. Director Nelson.
Aye.
Aye.
Director Jones.
Aye.
Director Rasmussen.
Aye.
Director Lopez.
Aye.
All right, chair votes aye as well. So consent agenda is approved. Next on the agenda is our board action calendar review. So with this month of March, and this will change next year, which is what I was going to highlight, is just kind of the sequencing and the timing of the superintendent evaluation will move up next year by about a month. So as we're this year we're wrapping it up here in this month of March. What we'll see next year is that'll wrap up at our February meeting. So it just kind of shifts a month. So that'll be a little different next year. And then in April, I know Director Rasmussen, you'd inquired to me about DLI. So you'll see that is shown as a report coming up at our April meeting. So other than that, any questions regarding kind of the month of March and the upcoming April month? Okay. All right, now we shift to our school board subcommittee reports, starting with the scholarship committee. Director Stevens, any updates, sir?
No, there has not been any meetings since the last time.
Okay. And we'll keep the floor with you, Director Stevens. Any update on the community outreach team?
They are planning to go to DC in a few weeks, and our next meeting is scheduled for, I think, 4 weeks from now.
Okay. So, okay. We may or may not hear an update in April then. Okay. Cool. Next is the Wellness Committee, Director Richardson.
Thank you. Yes, the Wellness Committee met on March 10th. They reviewed the staff survey results. They had 229 respondents, which I thought was a lot. There were lots of ideas to build a cohesive wellness program. And who knew teachers and staff were like the rest of us, and everybody likes incentives to do wellness activities. So we're talking about what kinds of incentives would be most meaningful. I think there will be a follow-up survey for that. There's going to be a personal wellness challenge that includes a step challenge and remembering to drink water. And also there was a large discussion about how to incorporate mindfulness and wellness into the classroom, especially into high school, and some great tips about taking a moment to breathe. So I love that this group is, what do they say, walking and chewing gum at the same time, designing the wellness program for staff and faculty, but at the same time modeling and helping students to incorporate similar behaviors. Next meeting is in April.
Thank you for that. Next is our building facilities report, Director Jones.
I don't have anything.
All right. Next is the Equity Committee, Director Rasmussen.
Yep. We had our meeting on March 3rd, and it was very exciting because we actually had some students joining us. So we're expanding our footprint. We also had the largest number of attendees to date. And I believe an invitation will be forthcoming to Dr. Bernal to join us for next month's meeting. And so there is a survey that's going to be going out to the staff. And really what we're trying to do is to assess, there's kind of a big gap between what staff experience and students. So we're trying to get a better assessment of the school environments. And so we had a lot of discussion about that. And then we also have our continued book study. So we're reading up so that we're continuing to learn as a group as well to move forward, but we're still looking to add more and more people to our group. So more diverse voices, that's better. That's it.
Thank you. Next is the Wasco County Force Collaborative, Director Nelson.
I don't have anything to report.
Okay. Next is the OSBA Legislative Policy Committee and Director Richardson.
Thank you. Yes, the LPC met again last week. A lot of it is still onboarding us and teaching us how to be legislative advocates for schools and education. This will probably be my longest report, but it'll still be brief. So I wanted to mention that the legislature adjourned their short session of Friday, March 4th. One of the biggest things they did before they finished up in Salem was to direct some of this year's really significant revenue windfall towards education. So the most significant were a pair of bills. One was House Bill 4030, and the other was House Bill 5202, which included a lot of stuff in it, but I'm just going to pull out the education relevant pieces. House Bill 5202 contains spending on lots of budget items, but $150 million for summer learning programs. So this could have a real impact for our district. This includes summer high school academic grants up to $32.9 million to help high school students make up academic credits needed to stay on track for graduation. It does require a 25% match from districts. The other program is a summer K-8 enrichment grant, and so that's almost $67 million for activities which include dance, art, outdoor programs, academic learning, and readiness support. It includes social and emotional and mental health services. It also requires a 25% local match, but I'm sure that Carr is really excited to hear that passed. There's also some other grant funding available for summer programs. The other big bill was House Bill 4030. It was an education investment bill for the session. It allocates $100 million for education recruitment and retention grant efforts for the state of Oregon. And that includes almost $80 million to districts, ESDs, and organizations for recruitment and retention of education personnel. Almost $20 million for substitute teacher and instructional assistant teaching trainings. $2 million for staffing at ODE and the Teacher Standards and Practice Commission, and then about almost $700,000 for evaluation requirements and help to update the education workforce data system. So pretty excited about all that. That's the end of my report.
All right, thank you for that update. And then the last committee that we have is the D21 Ed Foundation, and so we've left this vacant until we were whole again as a board of 7, which we are now. And I failed actually at the start of the meeting to welcome Director Lopez, who's in his first meeting tonight. Director Lopez, we had left this just in case whoever was appointed to Zone 1 had any interest in jumping in right out of the gate into a committee role. So the Ed Foundation previously was Director Thistlethwaite's committee. And so we are needing another person from our board. So I don't know if that's any interest to you, but the Ed Foundation is kind of a separate entity that does a lot of fundraising for the district and does things like the classroom mini grants. It did the Golden Apple Awards last year, among other things. So they're a great partner with the district in terms of helping to fundraise and get monies for the various things happening throughout the district. So I don't know if that is of any interest. If not, the rest of us can kind of consider who can fill that. Any initial thoughts on that, Director Lopez? I know I'm putting you on the spot, so I apologize.
No worries. It's fine. I'll definitely have to talk about this with my partner and see we can and get more information on that.
Okay.
And hopefully I can answer that question later on.
Perfect. We'll talk more offline. So for now, we'll leave it vacant so you can kind of consider that a little more, and then we'll look to kind of make a final decision at our April meeting then.
Yes.
Cool. All right. Next, we move on to our new business and into our presentations and reports. And tonight, the first report that we'll have is from the Mosier Community School, and it's their annual report for the 2020-2021 school year. And tonight we have Ms. Carter, their executive director.
Thank you. Hi, my name's Janet Carter, and I am the executive director for Mosier Community School since January of 2021, having taught at Mosier since the year Mosier opened as a charter school in 2003. So I'm here today to give you the highlights of our annual report for the 2021 school year. And what a doozy it was. Last year, our enrollment was 178 students, of which 40.5% were economically disadvantaged. 12% of our students had disabilities. 13% were English language learners, and our attendance was at 90.8%. So our enrollment is down from last year due to COVID. This is something we're actively working on, and we realize it's very important for our financial stability. It's an area of concern for us as our funding is based on our enrollment. We're currently marketing our school, and we're hoping to persuade families back to on-site education. So we had a structured, comprehensive distance learning educational model throughout the months from August to March 15th, when we opened our doors for hybrid. And then last year, our professional development was focused on supporting our teachers with our new K-8 math curriculum, as well as social emotional support, and using some PD days for Chromebook and school materials pickup during CDL. And MCS participated in Smarter Balance state testing in the spring, and the state, as you know, the state modified the testing schedule due to COVID last year. So our staff did an excellent job of moving from CDL to our in-person hybrid educational model in March. And then the entire staff at MCS, our students, our parents, and our board all came together to ensure that our students were receiving the best possible education. Just a quick reentry update. Since our campus was approved the previous year for reentry by North Central Public Health, we were prepared for a safe reentry in March. Again, this year, parents received the MCS COVID handbook, which included the signs and symptoms of COVID-19, links to our blueprint in the Ready School ODE document, as well as our cleaning schedules, daily student schedules, which outlined our protocols and procedures for staff and student safety. And then parents also received their class cohort list in order for them to prepare for our on-site hybrid educational model in March. And it was a very, I feel, smooth re-entry in March. Everyone was so happy to be back at school at that point that I think everyone was just very happy. So then just a quick budget update. I worked with our business manager to develop our budget for the 21-22 school year, and our low enrollment produced a decline in our revenue, which was very challenging. Mosier is used to doing several major fundraisers each year to supplement our budget, but due to COVID, we've been unable to do these. We completed our annual audit successfully, and we concluded the school year with a very successful 2.5 months of hybrid on-site education. This was a challenging time for staff, but we rose to the occasion and did our best for the students. And we're definitely enjoying a more normal year this year. Thank you for your time. I do hope you've had a chance to read the report, and just let me know if you have any questions or comments at this time. Thank you.
Director Nelson?
I had one question. I have interest in your new math program, and I read that and I realized all the work that's been put into that, the training, your assistance, and so this year, after a year of experimenting with that program, what do you feel about the success of that program? Any glitches in it? And how are you doing this year with that?
That's a good question. So last year was our first year with the new program. And of course, most of the year was online. So that was challenging, but I feel that, you know, all things considered, the teachers had a chance to, you know, dive into it and use it, but it wasn't an online format. So, and then we had a number of new teachers this year who did not receive the original professional development from the company. Jane Osborne is a math coach in Hood River, and they also have Ready Classroom Mathematics. So I have brought her out a few times for just more informal trainings, which the teachers really appreciate and enjoy. And it just helps them with any questions or concerns they might have. We looked at trying to create a workshop model where we could more easily differentiate for students. So you have the small group, which we couldn't do with online. And that has been working out pretty well. I mean, we still have the distancing, and it was hard to have that rotation model in place until just recently with our unmasking. But I feel like we're getting, I mean, we just looked at the data actually at our school growth committee, and I had talked to the rep, and he said that we're doing really well. They expect the schools to be at about 50% mid-year, and we were about 68% proficient. So we've enjoyed the Ready Classroom. And then of course we have the iReady reading and math that we switched to for diagnostics. We used to use STAR for that, and now we have iReady, which is more in line with state testing, and that's been successful as well.
So what originally caught your attention to, you know, the selling point when you were presented with this idea, this program?
Right. So 3 years ago, you know, I put together an adoption committee for math, and we looked at a number of different programs. And at that time, the teachers were very interested in, you know, a more updated current curriculum. And we had never had a K-8 aligned math curriculum before. So that was one thing that we were focusing on. And I believe iReady was in the, or it was called iReady. It's Ready Classroom Mathematics was in the forefront. And then we also looked at, it was Engage New York, but then they changed the name to something, I don't remember, but it was similar. But this program had all the workbooks, the teacher's book. I mean, it was ready to go. Salem School District had adopted it previously, and that kind of spoke pretty loudly to the adoption team. We had the rep come in for 2 different companies, and we all unanimously voted for Ready Classroom. And the fact that Hood River also had adopted it, and they'd been using it for 6 years. And I went and observed a number of classes, different grade levels, to get a feel for it. And I brought that information back to the team. And I suppose those are the reasons.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
All right. Any other questions or comments regarding the Mosier update we received from Ms. Carter? I'm not seeing any. Well, thank you so much, Ms. Carter. Thank you for all the great work you're doing at Mosier Community School. We know just how well the pandemic has challenged all of us with the enrollment issue. So we look forward to all the great things you guys will continue to do for the students.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for everything you guys are doing. We always appreciate your support.
Absolutely. All right, our next report will come from the Dalles Middle School. And I do want to say, I should have mentioned this last month. One of the things that we are doing, this is kind of the second iteration of that, is that we are going to be hearing reports from each of our buildings. So last month we started off with Dalles High School. We'll go into the Dalles Middle School today, and then we'll go and hear from each of the elementaries in the next 3 months. So just kind of a preview, I guess, of that. And Director Richardson, is your hand up?
Do you need a motion to accept the Mosier Community School annual report?
Thank you for that. Yes, so Ms. Harris, we will go to you in a second. We do have to accept the annual report. Thank you for the reminder. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to accept the Mosier Community School annual report for the 2020-2021 as presented.
All right. So Looks like I got a second from Director Jones. So I've got a motion from Director Richardson to accept the Moser Community School Annual Report for the 2021 as presented, seconded by Director Jones. Any further discussion on the Moser Community School report? All right, here none, we'll move to a vote. Director Richardson?
Aye.
Director Stevens?
Aye.
Director Nelson?
Aye.
Director Jones?
Aye.
Director Rasmussen?
Aye.
Director Lopez?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye as well. So thank you for that, and thank you for the catch on that. So now we will go and hear from the Dallas Middle School, Ms. Harris.
Excellent, thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to talk to you about our Avid program. And so Robbie or Cindy, do we have the slides?
Yeah.
Thank you. Awesome, thank you. First of all, I want to tell you about our Avid program at the Dalles Middle School. Avid stands for Advancement via Individualized Determination. In 2016, the Dalles Middle School teachers went to our first ever Avid Summer Institute, and we sent 6 teachers to lead the charge. We came back with energy, excitement, strategies that engaged all students. I did go with them, so as administrative support. So it was very exciting to get that first installment of Avid training. So Avid's mission is to close the achievement gap by preparing all students for college readiness and success in a global society. In order to do that right, we started one grade level at a time. So we started with 8th grade Avid elective, and for the past 5 years, we've added 7th grade and a 6th grade Avid elective as well. Furthermore, we've also trained over 25 staff during Avid Summer Institute, which also included virtual training during the pandemic summer, which is pretty exciting. Avid Summer Institute is 3 days, 3.5 days. We went to Seattle. A couple people have been to other states to do their training as well. And due to turnover, we still have 12 staff members in our building, and both of the administrators are currently trained in Avid. So next slide. So Avid breaks college and career readiness into 5 categories called Wicker: writing, inquiry, collaboration, organization, and reading. So I have circled the strategies which we've been working on extensively, and I'll go through them with you. So things that are part of Wicker and the Wicker strategies, ones we've really focused on were circled. And next, we'll start with writing. Next slide, please. So we talk about focused notes, and that could also be called purposeful notes. And there's 3 components to focus notes. There's the essential question. What are we trying to find out when we're doing the note taking in each of these classes? The one thing about Avid is that it can go all across the curriculum in 4 core as well as in elective classes. So the 3 components to focus notes is the essential question. And students are taught how to summarize their notes at the end of the lesson by answering the essential question. It's important to know that the notes they're taking are going to answer that question that they started with. And most effectively, when students review their notes every 10 minutes or every 24 hours, every 7 days, it solidifies their understanding and their learning of what they took the notes on the content material. So teachers bring their notes out the next day and they review. Sometimes the summary isn't written until the next day. So it solidifies their chance to go through the notes and to make sure that they're understanding what they're learning. Notes can be in a number of different ways. Teachers use graphic organizers to organize notes, interactive notebooks with composition books. You see in August, a lot of times the composition books and the spiral notebooks are snatched up because they're super important to keep their notes in, instead of the old loose leaf pages that fly around and you never know where they are. And we'll get to that. So the first part of Wicker is writing. Next slide. Second, most recently, all the teachers have been trained in Costa's levels of questioning to help students get to the highest level of thinking. So we start out by asking questions to gather information, moving on to using that information, processing that information, asking questions so students can process the information that they're gathering, and finally asking questions that requires the students to apply that information. So the higher level, higher thinking question, a great lesson includes all three of those levels of questioning in a classroom. Again, this can be used in all core classes and our elective classes as well. Next. Collaboration activities, group activities have been the most fun because students may not even recognize that they're learning. A lot of pair share type things. Some of these activities take some time to prepare and set up. However, we really try to use those highly effective strategies that can be used with little or no setup. We start some of these routines using familiar ideas, familiar things, get to know you type activities, but going through these routines and letting the kids and the teachers know, training them how to use these routines, and then they put in their content level questions to do. So quiz, trade, 4 corners, making decisions, whip around, jigsaw, give one, get one. It seems like a lot. So we started with a few routines so that teachers and students could get used to them. And after 5 years, as you can see, our toolbox has a lot to choose from, a lot of routines to choose from. It's really nice as the new teachers come in and we can tell them, hey, with your 7th graders, use give one, get one, because they used that all last year. They know how to do it. Just apply it to your content. So it helps support our new teachers that may not have gone through the full Summer Institute training, because the kids can recognize, oh, we did this in science class. Oh, we did this in math class. And they can help the different variations that there are. So collaboration routines, again, solidify those Avid, getting ready, talking about their learning with one another. So next. Our Avid leadership team, which meets twice a month, has identified organization as the single biggest game changer in our Avid history, bar none. Because we systematized our school supply list and our school-wide binder expectations, our students were organized enough to have supplies when they needed them, keep track of those assignments and projects long enough to turn them into the inbox. So it's been very exciting that we do check every week. We check for their school-wide binder contents, whether they have a pencil pouch, 2 or more pens, pencil, highlighters, the paper, and also our organized planner that the kids get at the beginning of the year so they can write down their assignments. So we give stamps as part of our PBIS program to reward students that they're keeping them. And even 2/3 of the way through the year, a lot of students, they still have their pencil pouch and they have the supplies that they need. Again, how the binder is organized is also checked on about once every couple of weeks. You know, do they still have the planner? Do they have the binder and the front cover? Where are they putting their focus notes? Every place has a place and things can be easily found. So again, our Avid leadership team and teachers, this is the single most game changer for a middle school student is organization. So thank you, Avid. Next step. Finally, reading. We have effective Avid strategies that we use school-wide, just with the vocabulary building, graphic organizers, and annotating the text, not only in our language arts classes, but in science as well as social studies. And again, we bring back with the summarizing. If they're summarizing on their notes, they can summarize a text and pull out those key points. So reading strategies are throughout our building. All of these strategies are throughout our building with Wicker. In the Avid elective, we spend time on Wicker strategies, but we also zero in on what it takes to go to college. Here are a few quotes from our students. You know, it really helps if you're struggling with things like note-taking and time management. They focus on what does college cost and how can you get there? But they do definitely know that there are scholarships and they can work hard to get them. Also getting to college, your GPA really matters. And we do talk a lot in our Avid elective, what is a GPA? Even though it's not something calculated until high school, that they talk about it a lot in their Avid elective. We have some data, you know, because of our school-wide laser focus on Avid and the Wicker strategies. In the school year prior to the COVID shutdown, we raised both reading and math state test scores by 5 and 6%. It was pretty exciting. Finally, after that, we did shut down and we didn't have Avid. And so this year, as you can see in the data, we've already seen growth to our STAR reading scores from fall to winter. We're growing slowly at the at or above grade level, and we're seeing significant decrease in our need for urgent intervention. So that's, we want it to decrease on the right side. We want it to increase in red on the left side. And TDMS teachers and students are working hard to catch up. And we know that there is no quick fix, but with these strategies that are used school-wide, it is really evident that kids are organized, they're ready to go, ready to learn each and every day. Do you have any questions?
Any questions from the board? Director Nelson?
You're mute.
I think you muted yourself.
The opposite of what I wanted to do. I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. This is the first time, you know, I'm familiar with the program in the sense that we have it and some of the statistics around it, but I've never had a full explanation of what the kids get and where you go and what it all means. So I really thank you for this presentation. It's the first time I've understood it completely, really, in a summarized way. And anyway, wow, I was impressed.
Thanks, John.
Yeah.
Director Richardson?
I'll just follow up what John said, and I appreciate, thank you, Principal Harris, for showing this to us, because you didn't mention it, but I was thinking all along, this is really an equity initiative that helps all of our students prepare for learning. And I remember growing up and seeing kids who maybe their parents really understood the learning process and how to learn, but I didn't figure out a lot of that till college, like knowing how I learn things. And I can see it in my daughter, who's like knows how to take notes now and knows different colors have meta messages and things. And I just think that's remarkable and so great we're giving it to middle school students.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other comments from the board? I guess the only thing I'll say from myself is, so Ms. Harris, if a parent is out there listening or watching this meeting and maybe their student is not in the program, but this kind of intrigued them or kind of caught their attention, how would they go about kind of finding more information about it, and how would they kind of get their student potentially involved in Avid?
Yeah, that's exciting. So first of all, we have both transitions starting with our 5th graders coming into 6th grade and our 8th graders going into the high school. So they can talk to the counselors to start out with and say, hey, I really would like to have my student in Avid. We'll talk to them about the criteria. We are looking for that individual determination. Are they determined to get there, and can they, really, do they have the want and the know-how in that sense? And so we'll talk about the little criteria, but definitely talk to the counselor. If you're a 5th grade parent, give us a call at the middle school, or talk to your 5th grade teacher, because we're getting those recommendations for students to be into the Avid in 6th grade, as well as call our counselors if you have an 8th grader that you would like to go into the high school Avid. So call our counselors and we can certainly do that recommendation and say, hey, this person really has the determination to want to be college and career ready. And so we will definitely pass those names to the high school too.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Director Rasmussen?
Yeah, I by my own profession, I'm a resume writer, a professional resume writer. And so I work with so many people. And I can tell you that one of the biggest things on the radar for employers in particular, when we talk about making students college and career ready, having critical thought and also being able to organize their thoughts are such invaluable skills that this is just so awesome. And it's really setting the students up to be very successful in their careers. These are lifelong skills. So I'm just so pleased to see these results. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Great comment. Any other comments from anyone else on the board? If not, thank you so much, Ms. Harris. That was great to learn more about Avid at TDMS.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
All right, you too. All right, our next report is the superintendent's report. And first we have the superintendent's final evaluation for the year. So let's see, prior to tonight's regular meeting, we had our second executive session with Dr. Bernal to go over her evaluation for this academic year. And so I do have her final evaluation that I will go ahead and read now. So that reads, the North Wasco County School District Board of Directors has completed the annual evaluation of Superintendent Carolyn Bernal. Superintendent Bernal has been on the job since July 1st, 2021, and we are pleased with how quickly she has integrated herself within our district and community. The evaluation process included 2 data sources. 1, Superintendent Carolyn Bernal's self-evaluation, and 2, the board's direct observations and experiences with Superintendent Carolyn Bernal. The board speaks with one voice and provides one evaluation for the superintendent. This year's evaluation focused on 4 superintendent goals and 8 standards of performance for superintendents. The North Wasco County District Board rated Superintendent Carolyn Bernal on those 8 standards and 4 goals. As a whole body, the school board members felt that Superintendent Bernal has effectively performed all of her responsibilities in a manner which consistently met each of the 8 standards. In some areas, she met the standard in an outstanding manner. Superintendent Bernal has begun the process of establishing trust with the various stakeholders within the district and community. She continues to listen and learn all that she can from each and every interaction that she has. She has formed a strong relationship with the board. She successfully worked with staff and administrators to safely reopen our schools for in-person learning. She has started the very important process of strategic planning for D21, which will set the vision for the next 5 years. More work is ahead, but Superintendent Bernal is off to a great start. And so that is her formal evaluation for the year. Any further comments or discussion from the board? If not, then I will entertain a motion to accept her evaluation for the year. Director Rasmussen?
Yes, if anybody could have knocked it out of the ballpark, our Dr. Bernal did. So thank you very much.
Any other comments? All right, if no further comments, then I will entertain a motion for accepting the final evaluation. Director Nelson?
I move to accept Dr. Bernal's final evaluation.
All right, do I have a second on that? Director Jones? All right, so I've got a motion from Director Nelson to approve the final evaluation of Dr. Bernal as presented, seconded by Director Jones. Any further discussion or comment from the board? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Director Richardson?
Aye.
Director Stevens?
Aye.
Director Nelson?
Aye.
Director Jones?
Aye.
Director Rasmussen?
Aye.
And Director Lopez?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye as well. Again, thank you, Dr. Bernal, for everything you've done up to this year. And we look forward to all the great things that we'll continue to see from you as superintendent of D21.
It's been my
All right.
pleasure.
I guess we'll keep the floor with you, Dr. Bernal, and your update on the continuity of education.
Sure. I have a quick presentation, just a school's update. And go to the next slide, please. So we have been reopened now for 26 weeks of being fully reopened for in-person learning 5 days a week, which is super exciting. And that success is not just my success. It really is a tribute to the entire D21 staff and employees really pulling together, and our partners, our community partners helping us also with many things in order to keep our schools open this year. So it's been an exciting 26 weeks. Just this week, masks became optional for students and staff. And as you heard Sophie say, we probably have around 25 to 35% of our students and staff still choosing to mask. And you can see the little picture there in the corner, masks are welcome here. And what we've really worked hard on with our student and staff community is exactly what one of our students said in their video, and that is we just respect one another's choice, regardless of whether they decide to continue masking or not. Some of the other things that are different starting this week is both our contact tracing and quarantine have been placed on pause. So we're no longer contact tracing or quarantining students if they've been exposed. However, isolation is still required. So if a student or staff member tests positive for COVID, they still would be required to isolate for the 5 days. And then upon return, days 6 through 10, it is really highly recommended that they universally mask for those next 5 days. Also, if we have a student or staff member who is symptomatic with one or more of the primary COVID symptoms, then they may be also required to isolate, not necessarily for 5 days, but just to monitor their symptoms. And if their symptoms improve, they can come back to work and or school. One of the primary things that has to improve is you have to be fever free for at least 24 hours without the use of fever reducing medication. All of our other mitigation measures are still actively in place, and in fact are probably elevated even higher. So we reviewed prior to coming back this week, we reviewed all of that and all of our mitigation measures again with all of our staff, kind of a brief retraining of everything we have in place that continues to keep our doors open and keep our kids and staff safe. We still have our COVID dashboard that's updated on a weekly basis. We did, however, revise our dashboard to now just show the number of positive cases with staff and or students. We're no longer reporting quarantine numbers. We also continue to do we no longer can do test to stay. However, we are still able to do diagnostic testing on site. So if a parent has signed one of our testing consent forms and their child becomes ill, we can contact the parent to let them know and ask them would you like us to go ahead and test your child if they have the consent form on file? If they don't have the consent form on file, that's okay. We're now able to send at-home test kits home with the child, and the parent can administer that test at home with their child on their own. And then this week, all of our elementary students will be going home. The ODE OHA sent all school districts that have Title I schools 1 test kit per student. So all of our elementary schools are Title I schools. So each elementary child will be going home with a test kit prior to spring break. And with just encouragement to parents, they can use the tests how they want. If they want to test their children prior to coming back to school post spring break, they can. Or if they want to hold on to it and wait, and if their child's symptomatic at some later time, then they can have the test at home for that purpose as well. And then finally, our updates, we do have to do an update to our continuity of in-person learning and services plan, and that is due March 30th. And Cindy and I have been collaborating on both updating our communicable disease plan as well as the continuity of in-person learning and services plan. Next slide. And then I just wanted to give a brief update on strategic planning process update. On March 1st, we did a community forum kickoff, and our consultant was there with us, and Jack and Stephanie and I. It was a hybrid model, so we had both in person and online, and that really was to introduce to the community what strategic planning is and why we do that process and how people can get involved and give us their feedback. This week and last week, we've had many things going on. We've had a series of one-on-one interviews going on. We've had several focus groups that are wrapping up this week. And then we do have a survey that's open to anyone who wishes to provide feedback. So they don't have to be a D21 parent or family. It's open to the broader community. And then there's also a confidential email that's active where people, if they don't want to take the survey, they can just give feedback to our facilitators. All of the one-on-one interviews, focus groups, the survey, the email, all of that information and everything is being facilitated by our facilitators externally. So we're not directly involved with those processes. And then what they will do is they will take all of that information, they will look for trends in all of the data that they collect, and then they'll summarize that into chunks of data to bring back to the steering committee. And then the steering committee had their first meeting on March 14th, which was the kickoff for our committee work. And we will be meeting regularly over the course of the next months as we finalize the strategic plan, which hopefully we will be ready to present to the board and community sometime in August. Next slide. And just a couple other things of note. Summer school, we're busy really planning for hopefully a robust summer program. As Director Richardson stated, we are anticipating additional funding for summer school this year. K-8 looks like they will get flexibility for both academic and enrichment opportunities. Grades 9-12, however, the dollars are not going to be allowed to be used for any enrichment type activities, but solely for things like credit recovery. So I just want to make it clear that we're planning for enrichment activities for K-12, and we are planning opportunities for grades 9-12 to have enrichment opportunities as well. And those we will fund out of probably our ESSER dollars to help support pandemic COVID loss recovery. And we anticipate summer programming taking place the later part of June through the end of July. And then lastly, we're also busy working on our Innovations Academy, working to develop a comprehensive plan for K-12 innovative pathway programming for the launch in 22-23. And our goal is to hopefully be able to bring a plan to the board by the end of April with launching a recruitment campaign beginning in May. And that is my report. Are there any questions?
I don't have a question, just a comment. I am excited just about being able to offer all the summer programming that seemed to be something that was well received and obviously much needed last summer. And I know that it will probably be very similar this, and it seems like, at least from what I'm sensing, is that we might be able to expand upon what we offered last year some. So that'll be great.
Yeah, our goal will be to have our academic programming, so students who need credit recovery in 9-12, and then our K-8 students who need academic intervention support, for that programming to take place in the morning, and then our enrichment programming to take place in the afternoon, so that those kids that are in academic programming in the morning have that equal opportunity to also participate in enrichment and don't miss out. And we are busy talking with community partners and then our own internal staff to see who's up for doing anything enrichment type in the afternoons. And I tell people, think outside the box. It could be anything. But we've had people saying, I can teach art, I can teach dance, I can teach cooking, gardening, just all the things. We have somebody who wants to do yoga and Zumba, and it's just lots of great opportunities on the horizon. So we're looking forward to hopefully being able to put together a pretty robust program and offerings for families this summer.
All right, any other comments or questions? All right. Oh, Director Nelson?
Yeah, I have a comment on your mention of Kimberly's educational success and innovative programming. She presented to the Kiwanis Service Organization today. It's the first time I've heard her whole, why am I doing this? Why, what is my role here and why am I so enthusiastic about this? So I'm not going to go into great detail, but I was so impressed, and so was the whole club. It was, she has incredible energy, and it's just like, whoa, you're just like, whoa, you get all excited about it. So I just want to say, and she said that she would probably be ready to present the whole total of the program to the board in April. Is that the plan?
That's our target date, because then we would want to then shift gears to a recruitment campaign and advertising to our community and our families that these are different options for kids.
Yeah, it's great.
Awesome. Any other comments or questions? If not, we'll move on to our next item. All right, we'll remain with Dr. Bernal, and we have the presentation of school calendars.
Yeah, really happy tonight to bring you not just 1 year of calendar, but 3 years of calendar. And really, this is work of kind of my past experience in my former district, and really trying to get onto a cycle of 3 years of calendar. And really the purpose behind that is, one, for our families and community to be able to forecast ahead and plan and know kind of when school starts, when it ends, when their breaks are, what days their children won't be in school. And then also internally, from a planning perspective, it helps us to be able to know kind of when our professional development is, when our trainings are, and how everything will fall during a school year. I had worked with the calendar committee and brought to them, hey, let's try to go for 3 years of calendar, and they were completely on board with that. So tonight we're presenting 22-23, 23-24, and 24-25, if we can even think about the year 2025. But it'll probably be here before we know it. And then this gets us into a cycle where now next year the calendar committee won't really need to meet, because we already have 2 more years of calendar, and then we'll meet the following year, spring of the following year, and then do another 3 years and bring it forward. So any questions?
Director Richardson?
Thank you. This is just for my own education. Is there like a wiggle room on that last day of school? So if we end up like with too many snow days or there's insufficient days, how does that work?
Yeah, there's wiggle room. It depends where the snow days fall, and if we had too many and we had to make them up, we would probably reconvene the calendar committee and look at what days did we have remaining and where could we plug in the additional instructional days to make it up. And also, I would say just a caveat too is any of these calendars could be brought back with amendments depending on if we had to, well, as Director Richardson said, maybe shift days and or if another holiday comes into play, like Juneteenth was a new holiday that came into play this year. Also, with our new ELA adoption on the horizon, it's possible we'll need to add some professional development days in August, although it won't impact the first or last day of school. So we could always bring back an amended calendar if there are changes along the way.
Any other questions or comments? All right. I'd comment that I like this change. I think, as you said, will allow parents to kind of plan a little further out, between folks that are, heavy into athletics with their kiddos, travel teams or other things like that, or even just family trips or just family time. I mean, I think that there's a lot of benefits to all our families to be able to kind of know in advance of when our dates are to plan accordingly, like you said. So I think this is such a cool change that we'll be able to provide to the families in our community. So thank you and the committee for the work on putting this together, because I know this is probably a different effort that we had not been accustomed to, but I think is a great thing moving forward. All right, if no further comments or questions, then I'll entertain a motion for approving the 3 calendars as presented. Director Nelson.
I will make a motion to approve the calendars for 2022 to 23, 2023 to 24, and 24 to 25, the next 3 years.
All right, looks like I got a second from Director Rasmussen. So we've got a motion to approve school calendars for the 2022, 2023, 2023, 2024, 2024, and 2025 school years, and seconded by Director Rasmussen. Any further discussion regarding our 3-year school calendars? All right, seeing none, we'll go to a vote. Director Richardson?
Aye.
Director Stevens?
Aye.
Director Nelson?
Aye.
Director Jones?
Aye.
Director Rasmussen?
Aye.
Director Lopez?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye as well. All right, and I think that wraps up our superintendent's report. Anything else, Dr. Bernal, before we move on to our next report?
Nope, that would be it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, our next report comes from our Chief Financial Officer, Ms. Carol Flath. And we're starting off with a request for some bus loans.
Hi, Mr. Chairman. Yes. So we've been working on a possible cooperative agreement with Sherman County and Transportation Services with our Transportation Director, Lisa Caseberg. She's very familiar with that area. Anyway, we had an opportunity to bid on that. They were going out looking for new busing services. We actually have a very competent transportation director where she has the ability to do the training and do all that. So we put in a bid for that, and we were actually awarded it this week on Tuesday, I believe. We went to their board hearing, and there were 2 bidders, ourselves and Midco, which is their existing one, and they did grant it to us. However, in order for us to actually take on this transportation program, which will be a slight revenue generator for the district, we need to purchase 5 buses. We can't just go out and purchase 5 buses, nor do I think it would be financially smart. So the contract's for 3 years. So I'm looking at a 3-year loan for 5 buses. And that's what this particular action item is for, is that the board, any loan items, and the problem is we do need to order the buses now, and they already need to be in play to have them ready for the fall school year. And there will be a contract, of course, with it. We have a tentative start with one and a good template, so we probably will have the contract routing soon. It will be included in the budget for next year, but you'll see it as a local revenue program, so it'll be a state special revenue fund type. So it won't come through the general fund, won't affect the general fund. It'll help, won't help offset, but it'll help fund part of the transportation director's wage as well, because she'll be dedicating time to this program, but just requesting approval for the same as the contract, which would be 3 years for the 5 bus loan. At approximate, it is approximately $165,000 a year. Will be covered with the contract with Sherman County. It's been calculated in the rates.
All right, thank you for that explanation. Director Rasmussen, do you have a question?
I do. Thanks, CFO Plath. I have a quick question. So can you explain the difference between a loan and a lease and owning? I guess I'm a little confused about that. So are we looking to get a loan to purchase the buses or are we actually going to be leasing them? Because you were talking about a little bit of that. Can you clarify that? Thank you.
Sure. We're looking at a 3-year loan, so we will own the buses after the 3 years. As far as how much value I don't know. The contract will technically expire after 3 years, but if it's a successful program and they want to continue, and the district wants to continue, we can still use those buses. They do meet at this point, unless the Oregon legislature changes it, but they meet the emissions laws that are required, so that's important. So yes, we're looking at 3-year loans and they'll be paid off in the 3 years. And they're great interest rate. I want to say 2%, if anybody wants to know.
Any other questions from Ms. Flath? All right. I will just comment that this is kind of a cool and neat opportunity in my mind, just because it's not very often that you are able, as a district, to kind of find an opportunity to sell a service or have something that could potentially generate revenue. So kudos to you and all the work that you've done to kind of find this opportunity. Obviously, again, it speaks to the dynamic and wonderfully skilled people that we have within our district to be able to even do this. I mean, I think this is just another example of that. So, I mean, thank you for all that. And of course, to Director Caseberg and the transportation team that is, I'm assuming, going to be heavily involved with this. So any other comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the request from Ms. Flath. Oh, Director Lopez, go ahead.
Yes, do you guys have like bus drivers for these 5 buses that you plan?
That is a great question. Right now, the contractor, Midco, has drivers that are over there that are tentatively losing their job with this contract, and we anticipate and hope that there will be plenty of drivers over in that area, because we will encourage them to apply for these positions. So once this loan's approved, we'll start posting those positions over there in that area specific for Sherman County. And hopefully we already have bus drivers in the area, because it's a small community that will need jobs, and chances are the district will pay them more and have better benefits. So not dissing Midco, just the reality. We have really good benefits in case anybody needs a job.
All right, any other questions? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve Ms. Flath's request. Director Rasmussen?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the bus loans as presented.
All right, do I have a second on that? Second, Mr. Jones. All right, so we've got a motion to approve Chief Financial Officer to enter into a loan agreement for up to 5 additional buses for a term of 3 years. It's contingent upon the contract award from Sherman County School District, which we verbally heard that has been approved, and second from Director Jones. Any further discussion on this topic? If not, I'll move to a vote. All right, seeing none, we'll go to a vote. Director Richardson?
Aye.
Director Stevens?
Aye.
Director Jones?
Aye.
Director Nelson?
Aye.
Director Rasmussen?
Aye.
Director Lopez?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye as well. All right. So next we have resolution 2122-07, Ms. Flack.
Oh yeah, hang on, got it out of order now.
Oh,
No, it's okay. I have too many papers. Hang on. So this particular resolution is to align, if you look at the financial report, there's one that breaks out by fund. There's one particular fund that we are projecting to, I would say, overexpend. We haven't overexpended it yet, but looking to overexpend our support services. So we budget by function level. You're allowed a 10% leeway. We would currently be at about 550,000 over that. And it's not out of line with how we anticipated our budget to be spent. It's just the categories and the way the budget rolls out and the actual expenditures. So I just need to make an adjustment, which we're allowed to do in statute with board approval. So just requesting to align the expenditures with the budget with this resolution.
all right. Appreciate the explanation. Any questions or comments regarding the resolution presented? Seeing none, then I will entertain a motion to approve resolution 2122-07. Director Richardson.
I move to approve and adopt resolution number 21-22-07.
All right, do I have a second on that? Director Rasmussen. All right, so we've got a motion by Director Richardson to approve resolution 2122-07 as seconded by Director Rasmussen. Any further discussion or comments? Seeing none, then we'll move to a vote. Director Richardson.
Aye.
Director Stevens.
Aye.
Director Nelson.
Aye.
Director Jones.
Aye.
Director Rasmussen.
Aye.
Director Lopez.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye as well. All right, our next item is appointment of budget committee members. Ms. Flath.
Hi, yes, so there's two budget committee terms that expired. Didn't hear back that they wanted to continue. I think one has just been away for a while. And so I have found two particular people in the community that were willing to be and anxious to be on our budget committee. One is Lizette Mendoza. She's Hispanic and been in the community, and her children have gone through, and I think she has a son in high school and then has a younger one coming up. And then the other one that we all may be familiar with is Lucille Begay. And I think it's just important to provide the cultural diversity on the budget committee. So I'm very happy and excited to bring these two candidates forward, and I think they'll be a great addition.
All right, thank you for that. Any comments, questions regarding the two appointments presented? All right, seeing none, then I will entertain a motion. Director Nelson.
I move to appoint Lizette Mendoza and Lucille Begay as budget committee members through the term of today to 6/30/2024.
All right, do I have a second for that? Director Rasmussen. So we got a motion by Director Nelson to move or to appoint Lizette Mendoza and Lucille Begay as budget committee members through the term effective today through June 30th, 2024, and seconded by Director Rasmussen. Any further comments or discussion? If not, we'll move to a vote. Starting with Director Richardson.
Aye.
Director Stevens.
Aye.
Director Nelson.
Aye.
Director Jones.
Aye.
Director Rasmussen.
Aye.
Director Lopez.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye as well. All right, our next item is regarding the purchase of a lawn tractor. Ms. Flath.
Hi, this can probably give you a little sticker shock, so let me give you a little background on it. It is equal to a new car-ish, not this day and age, but we had two mowers that had 64-inch decks. One of them has since quit working. We've done an analysis, so that Sodexo is our contractor with facilities, and they have come through and looked at our grounds and how much maintenance and work we have and they've done an evaluation. What would your staffing needs be, assuming all of this grounds to keep them up and maintain them? Well, it came out that we would need 6 people. And we currently have 3 people, but it might be 4. One of them is still working as a courier. So if anybody wants a job, we have a courier posted. So please feel free to apply. But until our courier position's filled, we're short another grounds person. But my long story short is, some of the arguments, you could make for and against this would be, it is close to the cost of a person, which it isn't the full cost of a person, but it's probably 2/3, so it's expensive. However, like I just said, we have been recruiting for a courier at the same as our maintenance 1 grounds position. We just increased the wage to that because we had no applicants, and we still have no applicants. So even if we put 6 staff on the payrolls, we cannot hire them. So the thing that this particular lawn tractor does is replace the one that broke, and it's an 11-foot mower deck, not 64 inches. So the efficiencies we're going to get with less staff having to mow 3 times as long to get the same width will be a benefit. And we do need to do some work with all of our fields, and we want to keep them and maintain them. But we don't have staff that we could do it, and even can't find staff to do that. So this would be a good use of it. And of course, it will be maintained and cared for years, and hopefully stay in play for 25 years plus. I'm making that up, but yes. So I'm requesting approval. This particular model we're looking at is only $59,000, but I gave a little leeway in case there was something else that came up, or some attachment or add-on or something that Doug, who you saw, he's anxiously awaiting this lawnmower so we can get out there and mow the fields. But so requesting your approval for that up to $65,000. And we do have it in our facilities budget right now. We haven't, because we haven't hired staff, we actually have budget left. I may have to do an adjustment next month with you folks, but we do have the funding in our general fund budget to cover this.
All right, any questions for Ms. Flath regarding this request? Director Lopez?
What type of mower is it? What model? What type is it?
Well, I can tell you what, it's a 1600 Turbo Series 3 John Deere. Does that tell you anything?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Doug brought me a packet like this of it, so I can tell you all sorts of things that I don't need to know about it, but.
And with how crazy the supply chain is, I mean, is this specific model readily available? I'm assuming you guys probably factored that in and found something that we can get our hands on. Okay.
Absolutely. We have it on hold pending this. So he is, and I think he's out of Salem, but he's holding it, and it should be a quick turnaround. I think it's still going to take a couple weeks, but yeah, he has it on hand ready for us to purchase.
Okay, cool. Any other questions or comments? If not, I will entertain a motion for the approval of this request. Director Rasmussen?
I will make a motion to approve the purchase of the lawn tractor as presented.
All right, do I have a second? Director Jones, thank you. So we've got a motion from Director Rasmussen to approve the Chief Financial Officer for a purchase of a lawn tractor up to $65,000 by Director Jones. Any further discussion on this topic? We will move to a vote. I'm seeing none, so we'll start off with Director Richardson.
Aye.
Director Stevens.
Aye.
Director Nelson.
Aye.
Director Jones.
Aye.
Director Rasmussen.
Aye.
Director Lopez.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye as well. All right, that brings us to our financial statements. Ms. Flath.
Okay, and there's nothing too alarming. The only comment I would make that may stand out to you is our state special revenues fund. If you look on the financial summary, it's still negative. And it's actually almost 1.8 million is what the Oregon Department of Education does owe the district. And they are very backlogged because of staffing issues. So they're struggling like everyone else. And so they have a pile that they're getting to. And that is also one of the reasons we haven't seen the actual allocation of our summer learning grants, which we are very excited about. Like Judy was saying, that is exciting. And what we've been told tentatively is it's about half the money we received last year, which is still great. It's more than we had before. We didn't fully spend all of it, but I think we spent about half. So that's exciting. Some of the other items, the Nutrition Services Fund, I'm just going to highlight, has 108,000 in it, and that fund is usually barely breaking even. So excited about that. And one of the things there's two things that actually help that. Fun fact is the ODE sent out a grant to help with some surplus money. So that was about 78,000. So that's a big part of that. But reimbursement rates right now are higher with all the waivers that are out there outstanding. We won't have that next year. We are still CEP, so all the students will still eat for free, but we won't have the higher rate for reimbursement. So that's a little bummer. Some of the highlights, the high school pavilion still in process. We are going to have it up at some point, some year. This summer might be great, but we'll have one. And yay, the Kurtz Gym HVAC units are going to be in by mid-April. The contractor has them. They are, I think, at Kurtz Gym, and they are working on getting the final touches on it. We had a little bit left in that grant, so we're probably going to do a few other things while they're in there, and probably just some very cosmetic touch-up things that they disturbed while they were in there, and that will get fixed. So that's very exciting. We did apply and receive a TAP grant for Chenoweth seismic evaluations. So we already had Chenoweth reviewed. Colonel Wright still has another building that wasn't reviewed, and the Dalles High School main campus wasn't reviewed for seismic activity. So those are in the works. We did also apply for a seismic grant for Chenoweth. That application was just under 2.5 million. So we tried to get the maximum we could. I think it's 2,499. So anxiously awaiting to see if we receive that. And there we are putting in an application. I see I didn't put it in there, but for a Safe Routes School coordinator position, we actually got community letter supports from MCMC, the city, and the county, McKed, because Kathy Fitzpatrick, for anybody who knows her, is very passionate and been very helpful with this project. So very excited about that. And I also included another one of the Forecast 5 report. It's kind of interesting, and the good news is everything looks favorable. It says favorable because we're spending less than what we have budgeted. The pros and cons of that is a large part of that is staffing. You know, we're just not able to hire staff like we should, and not only that, we aren't able to get substitutes in. And so that's just it's taxing on staff is the problem. So people are just kind of at their maximum. So it's pro on the budget end and a con on the other end. So kind of a double-edged sword there. But I thought it was an interesting thing to look at, you know, at the same time each year, what the expenditures were for the last 4 years. So for kicks and giggles, anybody who loves numbers, you know, look at that comparison. It's kind of interesting information. And we are still projecting to have a positive general fund balance at the end of the year. The early estimations are $1 million, but I hate putting those numbers out there because it really is contingent on how much more tax money comes in or we have to pay back, which I've seen both. So holding my breath on that, and still in a good positive position. So that's good news. I think that sums up a quick summary of the financial report. Anybody have questions about it though?
I have one. Yes. In your summary, you say that the adopted budget publication is changing from a former version. What does that mean? What kind of changes?
So yes, the adopted budget that normally comes out is a book that's on this little binder that you flip through, and it has line items of each object by each of our budget or function strings, so to say, the full accounting string. There's two problems with it. One, our e-finance system, which is the one we use to do our financial reporting and all of our data, it was upgraded and that report no longer functions correctly. And twofold with that, I'm not sure that report adds a lot of value unless you understand what each of those strings means. and it's not a apples to apples comparison when you look at something that was spent 3 years ago, but maybe now is different and it's just been in a different string then. So it's hard to really, I think it doesn't give a lot of detail that I like to see. So I'm taking the opportunity, since the system won't make the report right anyway, and I'll blame it on the system, but I think it's a good opportunity to put a more meaningful report out there with more data and information, and just some discussion about each schools. And I have a lot of ideas of what I'd like to put in there, but I'm just taking feedback. If there's something that you folks are, hey, this would be really great to know what poverty rates are at each school, or I'm just picking things out, some of that information that is helpful in just knowing what our schools are.
Okay.
That was a long explanation, but hopefully it made sense.
Yeah.
Dr. Richardson.
Thank you. I've told people it will be the end of my elected term before I understand public school financing, so I'm sorry for this dumb question. But if we come in $1 million under our budget this year, how does that affect our budget next year? I know what that means to a corporation that can invest that and save it and push it forward, but does it harm us, like we reset our budget $1 million less? What happens?
No. And I keep qualifying Oregon, but the way funding is set up in Oregon is to you're set X amount from the state formula, whether it comes from local property taxes and the states, based on your enrollment and then the weights on the enrollment. So what you already have in your fund, positive or negative, has no bearing on it at all.
What you'll commonly hear other districts refer to it as is it just goes to their ending fund balance. So
the best part is to build in a reserve, and around the state, they're saying an 8% reserve is probably ideal. I think you should always build, a 10 to 15% reserve, but that's okay. You don't want to know.
I'm assuming that conversation will be for the budget committee.
Yeah, and hopefully at some point we get to 10 to 15 and 20 to have to worry about, at what point do we start putting more money out there than we say?
Perfect.
We're not there yet, but.
So I have one more question. So I noticed that our enrollment is below what we're getting paid for by the state. So will that come back to bite us? In other words, will we be funded less next year? How does that work?
Yes and no. They true up this year's enrollment with what they expect to see in the state school fund this year, and they'll reduce our payment in May. But that depends on what so if enrollment across the state has decreased, which is what's happening, then the per ADM amount goes up. So it's not, you can't just say, oh, the difference because we budgeted at 2840 and we're, average 2762. So we're lower. I have built into our budget projections that will pay back about 700,000 to 800,000, which seems to be what we've paid the last several years. So pause that, that year it'll take 2 years to actually true up the whole thing, good or bad. That's one thing. Then the other thing is next year we put out an estimate of what we think our enrollment will look like next year, as well as how much we think we'll get in local revenue. The complexity, and I can go through this in the budget committee, is that the Google property is coming on. So we know the local property taxes should increase. So it's how much does that increase and leveling that out. So it's kind of a new set of numbers, but it'll go through the same true up process in May of next year, and then the May of the year after and the year after.
Okay. So it sort of evens out.
And we do the same, when Janet was talking about that, we do the same thing with the charter schools. It really takes 2 years to figure out what her numbers are. So when she was saying hers was behind, we pass that on, her section, we reevaluate what we funded her at and we do the same thing. So, yeah. Any other questions? I will quickly talk enrollment if there isn't. So Last month, our enrollment went up, which we expected because of all the returning students. There's 2,749. Went down 12 this month, which isn't huge, but we were hoping to see an increase, not a decrease. As the superintendent already said, now with the mask lifting, it'll be interesting to see what next month looks like, or the month after, and how we end the year. But we're still holding steady, not decreased too much, but still not what we were in September. And not to the 2020 level before the pandemic, but hopefully we'll recover.
All right, any questions regarding enrollment?
Yes.
Director Lopez, go ahead.
What was the average for last year of an enrollment?
Average last year was 2,768.
All right, any other questions, comments regarding enrollment? All right, I think that wraps up all your items tonight, Ms. Fly. Thank you. All right, let's see. Next is Board Attorney report, but he is not with us tonight. So we'll move into our discussion and action items. And the first one that we have is a cooperative sports agreement with the Lisle School District. We'll have Mr. Evans explain that for us.
You're on mute, Kurt.
Oh, you beat me.
Mr. Chairman, we're actually going to retract the request for the co-op agreement with Lisle School District. Those athletes have chosen to not participate this year with us. So nothing to act on tonight regarding that.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that update then, Mr. Evans. Appreciate it. All right. Let's see. The next action item that we have is approval for some equipment requests, specifically our bleachers. Is that Ms. Flath again presenting this, or is that your Dr. Bernal?
I can present on them. That's fine. So board policy KGF EDC states that district materials and equipment will be used only for school purposes and on district property. However, any exceptions to this policy must be approved by the board. When an equipment and or materials request is made, the requester is required to meet certain conditions in order to utilize district equipment and or materials. These conditions are stated in policy KGF, which is an AR, Equipments and Materials Use Agreement. And upon approval from the school board, the requester must submit required documents to the district office prior to using the equipment and or materials. And we have, I believe, 2 equipment requests, and it's for our bleachers. One is for an upcoming rodeo with the Dallas Riders Club, and the other is for a performance with one of our churches, the Last Days of Jesus. So they are both requesting utilization of our bleachers, and they have submitted the appropriate paperwork along with their request.
All right, any questions from the board regarding the request? Director Richardson?
Is there a fee associated with that?
Great question. That's a great question. And I'm not sure if Kara can answer that.
This one, we are working through updating our facilities use policy with the fee schedule. So we don't have that out there, and hopefully by next month, we'll have it all approved through the committee and bring it forward. But at this point, there's not a set fee schedule, so there wouldn't be it right now.
Any other questions? The one question I had is I noticed that between the two, for the Dallas Rider Club, we did not have a copy of the insurance certificate, and we did have it for the last day of Jesus. So do we, I guess my question is, do we have that and it just didn't get in our packet, or are we still trying to obtain a copy of that insurance certificate for the rodeo?
I'm not sure if we have it or if we're still trying to obtain it, but it will definitely be one of the requirements in order for us to allow them to use the equipment. So they have, this is for July 2nd, so they're pretty way ahead of their request. So we will make sure that they have all the appropriate paperwork in order to utilize our equipment.
Any other questions from the board? All right, hear none, then I'll go ahead, Director Lopez.
Yes, these bleachers, they're mobile, they're easily transported. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're bleachers that can be transported, and our maintenance crew assists with the transport of the bleachers.
All right, any other questions? If not, I will entertain a motion. Director Rasmussen?
I just had a quick question. As if when I first came on board, I remember Mr. Carter, who was presenting to the group, and he was talking about the condition of the bleachers and how much wear and tear it is on moving them from back and forth. And so I'm just curious if there's any kind of an update. How are they doing? Are they hanging in there? I'm assuming the insurance will cover any replacement if there's any damage and that kind of thing. But I just, I'm just trying to make sure that we have it available for our students beyond just the community's request too. So I just want to make sure that it's in good condition. Thank you.
It's a great question. And yes, they are in good working condition currently. And I know that we would not probably be approving requests for other entities to utilize them if they weren't in good working and proper condition.
All right, any other questions? If not, then I will entertain a motion to approve the equipment use requests. Director Jones?
I move that we approve the request for the use of the bleachers as presented.
All right, do I have a second on that? Director Rasmussen? So we've got a motion by Director Jones to approve the equipment use requests as presented and seconded by Director Rasmussen. Any further discussion? If not, then we'll move to a vote.
My only comment is that I would like to see any additional requests wait until we have that fee schedule established. I'm just thinking about the time of our maintenance crew, the wear and tear on the equipment, and to be fair to everyone moving forward, hopefully we can establish a fair fee schedule.
Any other comments before we move to a vote? Okay. Director Richardson?
Aye.
Director Stevens?
Aye.
Director Nelson?
Aye.
Director Jones?
Aye.
Director Rasmussen?
Aye.
Director Lopez?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye as well. All right, that wraps up our action items for tonight. And we move on to first reading on updated school board policies. And we have passed the 8 o'clock hour. So just want to double check if the board wanted just to kind of continue and get through the policy revisions, or if we needed to take a quick break before resuming. Director Nelson?
I would like a break.
Okay, let's take a quick 5. And so we'll be back at 8:12. All right, welcome back, everyone. And Robbie, are we good to go?
Yeah, you're in public session, right?
Yes, we are.
Thanks.
Cool.
Yeah, good to go.
Thank you. All right, so we'll continue with our next item, which is our first reading on updated school board policies, starting with board policy JHCCF, pediculosis, also known as head lice. So for this one, this request actually comes from our own district school nurses. So they're requesting this update on the policy to include the language designated personnel. And this is a staff and other than building administrators and school nurses who have been trained to recognize and assess students appropriately are included. So this basically expands a pool of folks within our buildings that are able to do the assessment and identify head lice in kiddos in our building. So any questions? It's just the small or designated personnel is really the added language there. Director Nelson?
So I've had experience of this as a teacher for a long time. And it also says that the state has actually taken away the requirement that the kids be excluded from class. And it looks to me by reading this that we are keeping that ability. And my experience is you can, with the help of training your assistants in the proper procedure of doing this, you can avoid having to exclude kids from instruction. So I'm wondering why we are kind of going against that policy with the state, which says they're taking that away.
Not sure I'm clear on your.
Which paragraph?
Okay, so let's see. It says, consequently, in order to prevent the spread of pediculosis in a school setting, district staff shall institute guidelines for the classrooms that will assist, blah, blah, blah. Students with suspected cases shall be referred to the school nurse and so forth for assessment. Students found with head lice and so forth will be excluded from school attendance. The district recognizes that the Oregon Department of Human Resources no longer requires excluding for the presence of NITS and allows discretion for the district to exclude. So that's what I'm talking about.
So I think that the difference is, so live lice or NITS, meaning if the NITS are found to be live, they would be excluded. However, I do know that students are able to stay in school if they just have NITS that aren't actually live. And so I think that's the distinguishing element there. And later on, we have in our AR also on head lice that students with just the NITS will be checked regularly.
Right. So I have experienced that. So if there's a coordinated attempt where those children are addressed and the issue is taken care of on that day, they can return the next day if it's found that the live eggs that have hatched are dead.
That's correct. And then they'll continue to be regularly assessed.
Right. Okay, that's been my experience. So that's the way it would work with our district under this policy. Okay, that's what I was questioning.
And I think that the other thing to keep in mind is that there is an AR that has a lot more
Detail there. Yeah, I did.
detail in terms of the processes there.
Yeah.
So the wording, any revision then, or does that kind of clarify the question you had? Director Nelson?
I think so. I think
Okay.
that's important. And do we know about what percentage that's happening now in the total district at all, or have any educated guesses?
I don't know an exact percentage. I'm happy to bring that data back to you. I don't know currently. I do know we have had some cases this year of head lice, and we've been working with those families to treat it.
Yeah, I'm just curious because where I worked, it was a problem. And so there was a significant number of kids. You could maybe your entire class, if they were excluded, you could have no students. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to
sure
look at that data and bring it back to you.
Okay.
I just checked the CDC guidelines too, and they're very similar to what this policy reads. So everyone is updated on that.
Okay. Any other questions or comments regarding board policy JHCCF pediculosis? All right, seeing none, we'll move to the next one, which is board policy IGBHA, alternative education programs. And so revisions to this policy and its administrative regulation are made to better align and update with ODE's rule governing alternative education programs. Any questions or comments regarding the language updates to this policy? And again, this is first reading, so if there is anything, feel free to email that through me and we can make those adjustments prior to second reading next month. All right, we'll move to the next one, which is board policy IGBI, bilingual education. The 2021 Oregon Legislature updated statutes in ORS 329.451, House Bill 2056, modifying Oregon diploma requirements by changing English language arts to language arts and redefining definitions for language arts, world languages, and Holocaust and genocide studies. Statute updates to ORS 329.045 made changes to the required characteristics of a school system and to essential skills. Senate Bill 744 has suspended the requirement for a student to show proficiency in essential skills as a condition of receiving a high school diploma for the 2021, 2022, the 2022, 2023, or the 2023, 2024 school year. Any questions or comments regarding the edits for IGBI? All right, seeing none, we'll go to the next one. I'm sorry, that actually concludes all our first readings for tonight. So next we'll go to our second reading on updated board policies. And with that, we will be needing to vote on their adoption. So the first one we have tonight is board policy GBL, personnel records. Senate Bill 486 passed by the 2021 legislature amends ORS 343.397 by adding a requirement that each talented and gifted student and students' parents have the opportunity to discuss with the district the programs and services available to the student and to provide input on the programs and services to be made available. It also adds a requirement for the plan to include the name and contact information for the district's coordinator of special education services and programs for talented and gifted students. Any questions or comments regarding policy GBL? All right, seeing none, then I will entertain a motion to adopt board policy GBL. Director Richardson?
Chair, I move to adopt policy GBL, and that's on personnel. You were reading talented and gifted, right? IGBB.
Oh, I am sorry. Correct.
That's okay. I'll move to approve that one if you choose, we can go back, but the Talented and Gifted Program, IGBB.
Yep, we'll just go back to, okay. All right, do you have a second? Director Jones, thank you. All right, so we've got a motion to approve board policy IGBB by Director Richardson, seconded by Director Jones. Any further discussion regarding that policy for the Talented and Gifted Program? All right, seeing none, we'll go to a vote to adopt it. Director Richardson.
Aye.
Director Stevens.
Aye.
Director Nelson.
Aye.
Director Jones.
Aye.
Director Rasmussen.
Aye.
Director Lopez.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye as well. All right, so we will go back to board policy GBL, which is personnel records. So Senate Bill 46 passed by the 2021 legislature, amends ORS 343.397 by adding, that's the wrong summary.
I think that's
there.
the wrong summary.
Yeah, that is the wrong summary.
Sorry about that.
So no worries. The personnel records basically on page 2, we have updated language on items 9 and 11.
Right.
And updated ORS references at the bottom of the policy in terms of updated legal references.
Right.
Any questions regarding those updates? If not, then I'll entertain a motion to adopt the updated policy GBL for personnel records. Dr. Nelson?
I'll move to adopt the GBL personnel records. Policy.
Right. Do you have a second? Director Rasmussen, thank you. So we've got a motion by Director Nelson to adopt policy GBL personnel records as presented, and seconded by Director Rasmussen. Any further discussion? Seeing none, then we'll move to a vote. Director Richardson.
Aye.
Director Stevens.
Aye.
Director Nelson.
Aye.
Director Jones.
Aye.
Director Rasmussen.
Aye.
Director Lopez.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye as well. Our next policy is board policy DH for loss coverage. And this policy has updated language to reflect current terms and practices. Any questions regarding the updated language or paragraph for this policy? And if there is none, then I will entertain a motion for its adoption. Director Nelson.
I move that we adopt policy DH as presented.
Do I have a second? Director Jones, thank you. So we've got a motion to adopt policy DH loss coverage by Director Nelson, seconded by Director Jones. Any further discussion? Seeing none, then we'll move to a vote. Director Richardson.
Aye.
Director Stevens.
Aye.
Director Jones.
Aye.
Director Nelson.
Aye.
Director Rasmussen.
Aye.
Director Lopez.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye as well. Our next policy is EAB, school bus scheduling and routing. So this one's a little different. This is a second reading, and its reading would be to rescind or remove this policy. So the summary on this one is this policy has been recoded to EEA-AR and is now an administrative regulation to policy EEA, student transportation services. It is necessary to take action to rescind policy EEAB and resubmit the revision as EEA-AR as an information item. And so just the rescind kind of process is we have to follow the process and allow consideration, comments, questions, and recommendations prior to second reading or adoption, which We've had our first reading at the last meeting. And so we did not see the AR last meeting, but we are seeing the AR here in the next section. So this again would be to remove that, and with its removal, we'll replace it with the AR. So any questions regarding that shift from policy to an AR? All right, seeing none, then I will accept a motion. Director Richardson?
I move to rescind board policy EEAB, school bus scheduling and routing.
All right, do I have a second? Director Jones? So you got a motion by Director Richardson to rescind policy EEAB, school bus scheduling and routing, and seconded by Director Jones. Any further discussion? Seeing none, then we'll move to a vote. Director Richardson?
Aye.
Director Stevens?
Aye.
Director Nelson?
Aye.
Director Jones?
Aye.
Director Rasmussen?
Aye.
Director Lopez?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye as well. All right, and now the next section are the ARs that we have tonight. So the first one is the one we were just discussing, policy EEA-AR, school bus scheduling and routing. So again, school board policy EEAB, school bus scheduling and routing, has been recoded to EEA-AR and is now an administrative regulation to policy EEA, student transportation services. Additionally, language referencing staff personal use of school buses for transportation has been removed to avoid potential tax implications or ethics violations. So that is informational only. There is no need for us to have a vote on that. But any questions regarding the language that we have in the AR? All right. The next one kind of goes along with the first reading that we had a little bit ago, and this is policy JHCCF-AR on pediculosis or head lice. Again, it's to basically align itself with the proposed language that we have in the policy. And just more of a procedural question, Dr. Bernal, my assumption would be that we would need to, or the implementation of this AR would be contingent or dependent upon our adoption at next meeting of the actual policy.
Well, these are ARs, so I prefer that we bring our ARs forward for second reading.
Okay.
So this is information only.
Okay.
Because it's an AR, and these are requests for changes that we are asking for based on our conversations with our district personnel that work in our school offices.
Okay. So with that, essentially, our staff would be able to kind of start implementing those changes in the buildings. We would then formally just kind of have the language in our policy align with it and with the adoption. Okay. Okay.
Correct.
Got it. And then our last AR for tonight is policy IGB-HA, AR1, evaluation of alternative education programs. So revisions to this policy and its administrative regulation are made to better align and update with ODE's rule governing alternative education programs. So very similar to the previous one. We have language updates on our policy, and then we've got the AR that has already been updated and to be in alignment with that. Any questions? All right, seeing none, that brings us to the end of our agenda. So thank you everyone for your time this evening, and to our staff and families, enjoy spring break next week. Thank you, everyone.